This is our first time out using YouTube for streaming, so we'll see how that goes. So anyway, hi everybody, thanks for coming. We know it's been a day, with all the rain and a lot of weather and stuff, but we're glad that you're here. If you didn't scan the QR code to sign in, we would really appreciate it if you did. It helps us to keep track of how many people are attending our programs, which is really helpful when we're looking for funding or trying to decide how to think about numbers for new program, that kind of thing. And of course, if you want to hear more about our programs, you can also give us your email address with the QR code and we will let you know. All right. So tonight, we got a couple things. I don't think we have anybody who needs an interpreter. We're good. Okay. So welcome. The snacks are over there. Please eat the snacks. Bathrooms back here if you're not familiar with this facility. We're going to have a few updates about some things going on in the neighborhood, including the silos. I know people have already been asking about that. We're going to have a moment for a small business feature. We want to make this a new feature of some of our public meetings. So Saluna is going to be our first business to present. And we have our guest speaker from Current to talk about real-time water monitoring in the river. I also want to point out this photo, which was taken a couple of weeks ago by one of our neighbors from the top of her roof, so looking out over the Central Manufacturing District, and you can see the Lutheran Church and everything. So that is a real photo, untouched, taken here in Bethlehem. Right? Okay, so there's been a lot going on this week with the silos. We want to make sure that everybody has accurate information about what's been happening. So if you have any questions or hear something you think isn't right and you want to fact check it, we'll do our best to help you because there is a lot going around. So first thing I want to say is thank you for everybody who showed up to be part of the efforts to save the silos. We will be continuing to advocate for public amenities on the site. That's not over just because the buildings are going down. We're obviously not happy with this outcome, but here we are. Over 1,000 neighbors signed our petition to turn this into a park and event venue. And we'll see what we can do with that coming next. It did get some attention from the park district. And we'll see what we can do as time goes on. About 100, I'm bad at estimating. I would say between 120 and 150 people came to the public meeting, which is amazing given that they tried to bury it on a Friday night in the middle of summer. So people have really, really showed up for this. And a lot of those people who came had incredibly thoughtful comments. So we're grateful. Also a shout out to Urban Rivers because we do believe that there's some gaps in the contingency planning for the demolition, and Urban Rivers offered to do water monitoring. That is different from our speaker tonight, and I want to be clear about that. This talk was actually planned 2 months ago before we knew if and when the demolition was going to happen. So they're different groups, but they can answer general questions about water monitoring tonight. Urban Rivers, which is another group we've had here previously to talk about the floating islands on Bubbly Creek. They're the ones who are going to be doing the water monitoring to watch out for things that might happen during demolition. And we're really grateful to them for stepping up to offer that service. Yeah.
About the silos, did the Illinois EPA conduct an environmental justice review?
No. IEPA has been silent to the best of our knowledge. The last environmental report we have on the silos was published in 2011 by the state, and we can get it for you if you want. It's linked on our website inside the demolition fact sheet.
But since because of the location that it's in, weren't they supposed to?
I don't know if they were supposed to, but when we've asked questions of the permitting authorities about that, they've kind of been hands off on the river, and that's actually why we went to a private organization for help. So the permitting authorities that everybody's been working with are the city, so CDPH and Department of Buildings, and then Army Corps of Engineers. And if you want to talk to them, are you taking notes because you're press or?
Oh, no, I'm not pressed.
Okay, just because I'm happy to refer to sources, it just helps to know where you're coming from, to know which sources, and we can talk about that after. Yeah, absolutely. We want everybody to be well informed. So according to CDPH, there's an order of how they're going to demolish everything, and we want everybody, to understand how that works. So they've already taken down this building, came down Monday. This one, you said it looked like they finished it today. These were both in really poor condition and they're metal, so like you can just bulldoze it and it's gonna crumble. This one actually burned in the 90s, so there wasn't all that much left. And the next building they're supposed to work on is this one in the middle. And the plan is to like chip away at them we're gonna remove the metal components and chip away at the concrete and push it inside the silo. They say it's all gonna fit in the underground portion of that. I think that's a little wait and see, but that's my personal opinion. So we do want people to know what to do. If you see something that seems off, you can call 311 and report it, and you can call the 12th Ward office and report it. And we ask everybody to keep eyes on the site. I also want you to know that the federal permit, which is through the Army Corps of Engineers, does require certain things on the site to be preserved. And that's why they're doing the last two buildings that they're going to work in, the red brick building and the silos that's right on the water are going to be last, because there's portions of these that they are required to preserve. So they're required to save brick below grade, all the brick that's in the ground, and there's a dock at this building that they're required to save, and then some of the machinery. And then in theory, later when they build, those will be incorporated into whatever comes next on the site when we figure out what that is. Yeah.
So in the next steps, they're gonna put those barges that will be in the water to receive anything that would eventually.
That's right. Yeah, when they get to the buildings that are on the water, they're gonna park barges around the rim. And they're gonna have metal plates that kind of bridge from the land to the barge that's supposed to catch all the dust. So yeah, lots of things to look out for. But if everybody's got eyes on it, we can make sure everybody gets good information. Okay. There are happier things to talk about. Yeah,
Sorry, just one more question.
Yeah. please.
I know that there was already a plan in place of what's supposed to go in there. How, and we're kind of trying to push against that, right?
No, there is actually no public plan for
No,
what?
I know there's no public,
Oh,
but isn't there, or I'm sorry if I missed it totally, wasn't it, like, the reason it's coming down is because of the asphalt?
So the owner is the same owners as Matt Asphalt.
Yeah.
They have not released any plans, so no one knows what's going in there. And because no one knows what's going in there, that is one reason why people wanted to stop the demolition, because obviously it's easier to build when something's gone, and we'd all like to know what that is, right?
Yeah.
But there is no plan.
There's no public.
That's correct. There is no public plan, and every quote on the record, Tatum has said that there is no plan.
I think I saw an article, forgot from what site, but he said that maybe he's gonna put a trucking facility there, but he said that.
Yeah, during the sale, what they told the state was that they were gonna move their headquarters there, and their headquarters does run trucks. And then as soon as it closed, they're like, nah, we're not gonna do that. We don't know what we're gonna do. So they've been very consistent since then. There was, I think I also might have seen that article. It was kind of an op-ed about the history of the silos and there were a few things in there that were not accurate. Yeah. That's why we want to make sure that it gets out there. But they stood up in front of 150 people in the city 2 weeks ago and said there's no plan. So, yeah. All right, there is happier news. So I know a lot of people have been following this building on Pershing, like, is that ever gonna happen? It has taken a very, very long time, but it was approved. The primary required city approval actually happened last week, and we're excited about that. So this building on Pershing, which was formerly storage for the school system, is gonna be converted into housing and commercial space. And this gives them like the clear to finalize all the documentation things to actually close with the city. So that's a big deal. Yeah.
Can I ask, is that separate from the other building that's like a very governmental?
Yes, there are 3 buildings that look just like this. And so only the one furthest to the east was sold. But they're all owned by the city, and you're pointing out something really important, is that it's really important to us that this one goes well and sets a good precedent, because we suspect that in the future they'll want to sell the others. So it's really important to us that this one goes well.
That's great. I mean, the only thing I knew is because I actually cut my hair right in front of this place.
Yeah.
There's a little hair salon. And the owner was saying that, so it's like a very historic one, it's like an ex-army depot. or
That's right.
something.
It was built for World War I.
And she says that, so when big trucks come, especially these asphalt trucks, she literally feels a whole round bump. Because apparently there's like, I don't know, like a bunker, there's like huge spaces like underground.
Yeah, there is. It's 2 stories underground. It's got a basement and a sub basement.
Wow.
So those are huge. They're almost 650,000 square feet each. They're
Wow,
huge.
That's crazy.
They're all connected by, you can see a bridge, they're all connected one to the other.
I wish we could go in there.
One day you will be able to go in there, one day when it's built out. So a couple other things, we have a lot that we've been doing too that we want to include neighbors in. So you notice I pointed out that Jessica's here to talk about her business on 35th Street. Eladio and I are currently working to interview every business owner and every building owner on 35th Street to figure out like what do they need. We have applied for a bunch of money for public art, so we'll see what we actually get. Don't want to overpromise, but we've applied for several different opportunities to fund public art and things like bike racks and trash cans on 35th Street. And then also we're trying to figure out what resources do some of these vacant buildings need in order to be reopened as commercial space. And so based on all the results from that study, we're going to go out and look for more money to make those things happen and also do some matchmaking. So for example, some businesses have said, hey, I need staff with a particular skill set, or I would really like to know X, Y, Z. And so we've been referring as much as we can for those kinds of things.
That's great.
Yeah. Also, towards that note, if you know anybody, some of these vacant owners are actually really hard to find. Some of them, like the building's been passed down and they moved away. And we don't, so if you happen to know anybody with a building on 35th Street and you have contact information for them, we will take any and all sources and we will not be mad at you if it turns out that phone number is disconnected because like these people are hard to find. So if you have any information, we would really appreciate it. Canal Origins.
Yeah, so if you've been to previous meetings, we're working with a Pilsen group called the Pilsen Environmental Rights and Reform Organization. They last year got a grant from the Bezos Earth Fund to make improvements to Canal Origin Park. Canal Origins Park is the park right on the river. If you're on Ashland traveling towards Pilsen, right before you jump the bridge, you see 2 little green spots on each side of Ashland, and those are actually both parks. The one on the right-hand side, so on the east side of Ashland, is Canal Origins Park. So we got a grant to make improvements to this park. We've been working with the park district to get them to take our money for the last year, and they've almost said yes. But we're going to restore, there's some art there that needs to be restored that we're going to do. We're going to create a meeting gathering space, make improvements to the pathways, maybe plant some trees, fix amenities for the people who like to fish there. While we wait for the park district to take our hundreds of thousands of dollars that we have sitting, waiting to make improvements to the park, we're doing monthly cleanups with Friends of the Chicago River. On Saturday, we picked up 98 pounds of trash from the park because it's, right by the I-55, right off of Ashland. Trash just kind of finds its way to the park, and every month we pick up about 100 pounds of trash. It just like accumulates there. And we also planted 78 new river edge plants that are meant to help prevent erosion of the dirt there. But we'll be having more activation events for this park to bring people out there, to show them what it is, and to get feedback on what you all would like to see at this park. So if you haven't had a chance to go see it, go down Ashland, pull over, there's plenty of parking, and just walk around. It's a really nice space. If you heard about Ida Beeve Wells, the big fat beaver, she hangs out in this part of the river. Her and Chuy Garcia. We've gotten videos of coyotes running around. We've seen bald eagles swooping into the river to catch fish. There's all kinds of stuff going on there. Oh, by the way. Yeah.
I think the next one's YouTube.
Oh, there you go. So these are some of the events we're having. Our first activation event at the park will be on Saturday, July 26th. We're going to have folks there to teach you how to fish if you're interested. We'll be also having some art activities and then just general walking and talking about the park and the plants that are there, talking about the river. And then we have additional events all centered around the park, generally just showing you what's there, and inviting folks to come see the space and give us feedback on what you would like to see at the park once you get to walk around. You know, where do you think a bench would look best? You know, where should we put trees for shade, that kind of stuff. If you're interested, right, email us or follow at Pilsen Federal on Instagram to get more info.
Sure. Yeah. So public art, right? We said we were trying to get more public art around the neighborhood. So we started off thinking we would really like to do a big mural somewhere in the vicinity of the L station. And then we started looking at how big that project was being. It was like, we should probably try something a little smaller first and make sure we, know all the best practices, that we're using the right kind of paint, stuff like that. And so we are going to be painting a mural in front of the play garden to try this out. And so in a couple, hopefully in a week or two, we're going to have 3 different designs for the community to vote on. And then in August, we're going to paint the winning design, and we'll invite anybody who wants to show up and help paint.
And it's going to go on the sidewalk in front of the playground.
No, I did it. All right, and also some of you may have heard about this. This is a proposal in front of City Council, the Hazel Johnson Community Impacts Ordinance. This is something really important to our community. Our colleagues at Neighbors for Environmental Justice have been working on this. And what this ordinance would do is to require a special use permit for heavy industrial uses. So they can't just move in wherever they want to. And for reference, that's how we ended up with the asphalt plant, is they're in an industrial zone, therefore they moved in and didn't have to tell anybody about it and just opened up shop with no public comment. So this ordinance would prevent that from happening to another community or happening elsewhere in our community. So the requirements, it would change things to say that they have to have a permit, even though they have the zoning, that they would have to have community meetings in order to get the permit, and that there would be community members on a panel that advises the permitting authority, the special use permitting, the zoning board. So all of that would help to prevent these kinds of uses from moving in communities where neighbors don't want them. So we ask you to do support that. You may see other events. Neighbors for Environmental Justice has been doing a lot of publicity around it. Also, if you live in the 11th Ward, Nicole Lee is one of the older people who's undecided, and so hearing from constituents could help. And so we ask you to do that. And a lot of the pushback against it is kind of this false narrative of jobs versus, of jobs versus the environment. And that doesn't have to be true. So I want to be really clear that this would not penalize the kind of industry that we do want. So for example, food processing, like most of what's in the stockyards, that's okay. Green industry would be okay. It's really targeting polluters. Okay, and Selena, trade you. Or she could help. It's right here.
Oh, yay! There it is. All right. This is the size group I like to talk. So I'm Jessica W. I am the owner and founder of Sonona Wellness Center here in McKinley Park. And I'm McKinley Park. I wasn't born in McKinley, but I was raised there. We moved here. My parents moved here when I was 7 years old, so a long time ago. And my parents are still here. My sisters, my family, and raising my kids here. So McKinley is home. And I've been in mental health and wellness for over 20 years, mostly nonprofit, community-based work. And so for a long time, though, I really wanted some services like that in our community. And so Luna is, kind of been like a lifelong, I've been sort of working towards it. And so what we do at Soluna, I'm a therapist by profession. So we offer traditional mental health therapy. We also, though, know that wellness doesn't come just in one way, in one form. And so we also offer yoga, meditation, movement therapy, with sound. We actually, in probably by next month, she's waiting for her gong, we'll start offering gong baths, which I'm really excited about. Working on acupuncture, that's coming. We have a person that's in the pipeline getting ready to start also offering Chinese medicine, herbal medicine. So really we've only been around for a year and a half. And so it's, it's a work in progress. And so I invite you all to, to stop by. We also have lots of events happening all the time because, like wellness is also joy. We had our first wedding this weekend and it was amazing and joyful and, made my heart happy. And because I come from nonprofit, and creating access is really important. We do a lot of fundraising. We do have a nonprofit arm. And so what we are doing in August is we're having our second annual Tacos and House Music event, where essentially it's exactly what it sounds like. Tacos and music. That is really it. Because I don't know about you all, but anytime I'm feeling sad, tacos makes my heart happy. And so I encourage you all to come by and, and if you have any questions or anything, want to know more, our QR code sends you to our website. That's all our information. That number rings on my phone, so you'll probably get me.
And so give me just a minute. I'll switch decks for you. So step right up. You can start talking while I shuffle stuff.
Hi, everyone. Great to be here. Thanks for having me. My name is Tyler Stephen. I am from an organization called Current. We are a Chicago-based nonprofit that is focused on water innovation. Today, I want to talk to you all about our real-time water quality monitoring program called H2 Now. We recently launched our 5th season of the public water quality monitoring information. And one of our monitoring locations is very nearby here. It's right across from the LR Boathouse. So kind of right in the neighborhood. So figured it was, wanted to spread the news and then address any questions or comments as they come up. Is it the up or the down?
If one doesn't work, try the other.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. So like I said, the organization that I am from that runs H2 Now program is called Current. Based in Chicago, founded in 2016, so approaching year 10 of being in business. We call ourselves a water innovation hub, so we're kind of like the quarterback or the convener, the organization that brings together all of the different stakeholders and the voices that should be heard when it comes to water innovation and water technology. So we kind of have 3 goals as an organization: to grow the circular blue economy, so that's like kind of the jobs end of things, to accelerate innovation, and to solve pressing water challenges. So this can range from anywhere from addressing lead in the pipes to addressing emerging contaminants such as PFAS. That's been all over the news recently. So some of our impact to date, we are Chicago-based. We originally started focusing really just on Chicago, then we kind of expanded to Cook County, then Illinois, and right now we're focused on the Great Lake region as a whole, but we're still very Chicago, like to the bone. In the 9 years since Current was founded, we have raised over $58 million for regional water innovation and economic development. We've engaged over 40 water technology startups. We have launched over 10 water technology pilots, several of which have been in conjunction with H2 Now, which I will get into more detail soon. And then we've also engaged over 40,000 people through events and convenings, and that can be anywhere from K-12 education to adult job training to bringing together experts in the field of water research or water business. So shifting gears, H2 Now. H2 Now is a real-time microbial water quality monitoring platform. That is a mouthful. We like to think about it as a weather app for the river. So it runs by having novel sensors in the water, in the river 24/7. It collects data and then it uses that to spit out an estimate for the fecal coliforms in the water. That is basically just a microbe that the state of Illinois has decided is a good indicator organism for whether or not there's anything present in the water that could cause something like gastrointestinal illnesses. It's similar to what the beach does with their flag system, except ours is online and you can just take out your phone, go to our website and see what the water quality is at any minute. We collect data every 15 minutes and update our assessment every 15 minutes. And it looks just like that, that's on that phone. This is the first of its kind monitoring program in a US urban river. And I will get into some of the history of the program. So like I said, we just entered our 5th public season, but this all kind of started back in 2018. That was when the idea for the program kind of became alive and we got our first grant to run it. We are a nonprofit, so we're also like all about grants. So we're initially funded by the Our Great Rivers Project from the Chicago Community Trust. And we first put sensors in the water in 2019. For the next couple years, we were in sort of our trial and error phase, trying to figure out what works, getting the technology to work, standing up the public platform. It looked very different than how it looks today. But ultimately, that led to our first public launch in 2021. So we've been doing this for a while. In 2022, we received a Chicago Innovations Award for our initial 3 monitoring locations in the Chicago River. We have locations in the North Branch, the main stem, the South Branch, like I said, right by Eleanor Boathouse. And then in 2023, we added a location in the Cal-Sag channel of the Calumet River. And then this doesn't include, it's obviously 2025, but like I said, this year's our 5th year. And we have recently been engaging with more novel technologies and helping to trial those in real world settings to kind of fit Current's mission of accelerating the lab to market for different water technologies. I keep pointing to the screen, but that's the computer. So a little bit of background about H2Now, like why does it exist? Why should you care if you want to care? So we kind of identified 3 problems way back in 2018 and even before related to how people view the Chicago rivers and the Calumet rivers. The first is really limited public awareness. The Chicago area waterway system has a very colorful history, I'm sure all of you are aware of. I'm not originally from the area, I'm from Baltimore, but learned that very quickly. Yeah, you're like, that's an understatement, right? So there's a lot of perceptions about the river, right? But in the last 10, 20 years, there's been a lot of money and effort going towards cleaning up the rivers, be it restoring polluted areas, the river walk getting put in and all of that. So we're trying to close the gap between what the river used to be like and what the river is actually like now. Next is slow water quality testing. So like I said, the parameter that we estimate and we put on our website is based off what the state of Illinois tests for and other water systems. But traditionally, the way that they test it, it takes 24 to 48 hours to get any results back. And that's not very helpful if you want to go out on the river and kayak. You want to know what it's like now. So if you have to wait 2 days, now you know what it was like 2 days ago, but that's not super helpful for what you're trying to do. And then the next is the inaccessibility of public health information. So I come from a technical background, but not everyone comes from a technical background. The understanding and knowledge of water quality and water science and like what even do you look for? Like what do you Google if you want to know about that? It's limited, like not everyone has the same baseline. So we're trying to, kind of address that kind of gap. So based off those issues and concerns that we saw, we kind of came up with 3 objectives. The first is simply we need to collect data. We need to fill those gaps between, what's the water 48 hours ago and shortening that to, 15 minutes ago. Next, we want to provide that data in real time in an accessible manner that's easy to discern for the public. And that's where our website comes in and our gauge format. We kind of have the three, is it good, which means it meets Illinois state parameters for what is considered acceptable for public use. Is it low caution, which is more like secondhand contact. So that's like if you're in a boat or in a kayak. River's not designed for swimming, but you know swimming at that time. And then there's high caution when it's like above both of those and maybe not the best to engage with it. And then the third is to support the development of novel sensing technologies. So the technology that we have and have been using for 7+ years, it uses a novel sensor or like a new sensor that is really early in its genesis of technology development. And so in addition to that, we want to help other water technologists kind of trial their technologies and get them into the market faster. So like I said, we have 4 sensors or probes in the Chicago and Calumet rivers. They are monitoring microbial water quality, specifically fecal coliforms, and then it's updated every 15 minutes. This is a nice little snapshot of one of our part-time employees, Dale, in the blue hat, and one of our interns last year, Hassan. That is at the main STEM location. So, you know, very, very lovely. It was a nice day, apparently. I wasn't here at the time, but they were just performing routine maintenance on the sonde in collaboration with MWRD, who is like, kind of, the program couldn't exist without them. Like I said, democratizing access to river quality data. So in addition to you being able to go on our website anytime and see what the data is like, you know, now or 15 minutes ago, we also have made all of our historic data publicly accessible. So if you dig into the website a little bit, you can access all of the data from the last 4 years. And you know, if you're curious, if you want to dig into it a little bit. And then we, in addition to like making that information accessible and kind of engaging folks like this, we want to allow people to be informed in their decision making and allow different decision makers to have access to the information necessary for that. So be it, you know, you folks if you want to go kayaking on the river, be it policymakers if they're trying to figure out how to address environmental concerns in the river system, things like that. And I did give a shout out to MWRD earlier. I will say this program could not exist without all of our lovely partners, most of which are Chicago organizations. So Metropolitan Water Reclamation District, Greater Chicago, that's a big one for us. They've been super supportive. We also have an advisory committee that has folks from institutions such as the University of Illinois, Northwestern, University of Illinois, Chicago. We also work a little bit with the city itself, the Department of Public Health, Department of Water Management, all types of folks, as well as nonprofits and
You guys take volunteering?
So we don't directly work with volunteers. We do have a lot of partner organizations that do. So Urban Rivers is on here, and I know they're doing the Damon Silos testing. So they've been we're like best buddies, Current and Urban Rivers. They've been partners with us on many different things, particularly H2O. There's a lot of other Friends of the Chicago River as well. I know they take volunteers.
On the website, they would appear. You can look for them.
Yeah. I know I haven't signed up myself yet, but I'm considering there's a place where you can go to like the Urban Rivers website, and there's like sign up to volunteer here, like join as a member or something like that. Yeah.
Urban, take that one.
Yeah.
Urban Rivers always need volunteers.
Okay.
Whether
Yeah.
it's to plant, new plants in the floating gardens or pull weeds, or to do water monitoring. They're always perfect.
Yeah,
To do like labor, you do at work.
yeah. If you wanna, get sweaty, they're the guys to go to. Yeah, and so we seek partners that come from a variety of different perspectives. So community organizations, research institutions, folks like SHED who are all about education, because we really want to create a program that is addressing a lot of different concerns at the same time. Cool. So that's the gist of H2 Now. I do want to say on that table in the back, we do have pamphlets about the program. We published a report on 2024 for the first time last year. It has some highlights from that in there. So if you're curious about, well, what is the water quality like, or what has it been like in the South Branch, for example? Last year, like one of the key highlights was that 98% of all data collected at all 4 sites was either good or low caution, meaning that it was, we estimate that it was safe to perform second contact recreation activities. So the biggest thing is kayaking, canoeing, rowing, boating, which is huge, 98%, that's most of the time. I will say we do only monitor the microbial health, so other water quality things like, for example, what the Urban Rivers is monitoring, it might be a little bit different than what we're monitoring. But still, it's a great achievement for the Chicago River. Awesome. So now I just want to talk a little bit about Current's mission and one of the very large initiatives that we recently stood up. It's called Great Lakes Renew. So in 2023, starting in 2024, we were selected as one of 10 inaugural innovation engines by the NSF, National Science Foundation. This is a huge opportunity for us to kind of quarterback some of our initiatives on a larger scale. So the primary mission of this initiative is to accelerate the transition of the circular and inclusive blue economy and turn waste into wealth for all types of communities in the Great Lakes region. So we're tackling this through a couple different angles. First is use-inspired R&D. So we got together a bunch of experts in the field of water and wastewater, and we're trying to figure out what are the things that are important that could help bolster the economy in water. And we came up with selectively separating and recovering critical minerals like nickel, cobalt, lithium, as well as nutrients like nitrogen and phosphorus, as well as eliminating, removing and destroying contaminants of concern, so PFAS, microplastics, things like that. So on the research and development side, we are helping to stand up, fund, organize, and bring together partners in the research side of that to create technologies that can actually perform those tasks. Next is commercialization. So like I said, this is kind of maybe where H2 Now would fit. So like I said, we like to work with novel technology developers and help them trial their technology and get them into market faster, work out the kinks of it. So that's basically what the commercialization side does, but on a much bigger scale, not just things that are happening in the Chicago River. We teamed up with other regional water hubs in Milwaukee and Cleveland in order to create a testbed network. So similar to H2 Now, but in all different types of settings. We have a goal of launching and investing in dozens of water tech startups, and then ultimately to create a centralized test bed to accelerate the innovation there even faster. And then finally is workforce development. So we have 2 goals around that. One is around adult education and the other is around childhood education. So we are planning to train over 500 people for quality blue jobs. So that could be anything from, if you want to do something that we do, like sample wastewater, jobs like that, or things like union jobs like electricians, things like that, engineering jobs. And then also we have a goal of engaging 1,000 youth from pre-K to grade 12. So we started this, we received funding starting in March, I believe, of 2024. As of a couple months ago, we actually achieved that goal of engaging over 1,000 youth. These goals were for the 2-year nascent phase. It's the potential to be up to a 10-year program, but it's kind of broken out into a couple different steps. So in just over a year, we were able to reach our 2-year goal of engaging over 1,000 youth, which is really great. So like I said, this is we are quarterbacking this in Chicago and Illinois, but we are hoping to do this on a larger scale. So in the nascent phase, which is the first 2 years, we're targeting Wisconsin, Illinois, and Ohio. But in the coming years, we hope to expand that to include Minnesota, Indiana, and Michigan. We do already have partners in those areas, but our major focus for impact is in those 3 states, Wisconsin, Illinois, and Ohio. Yeah.
I guess just thinking like really big picture, like future is like how much is like corporate privatization an issue like in this, you know, our waters?
Yeah. So we don't really focus a lot on some of that side, which is more like the policy arm.
Yeah.
We do have like activities that could influence that, but that's not a major thinking for us now. Where we do like commercialization and industry side of it, we are thinking about like what are heavy users, like heavy industry like mining and things like that. How are they using water, and how can we recover resources from their wastewater or reduce their overall environmental impact. So that's kind of more the water policy that we're thinking of. I do know that is a really big, I'm not sure like within the context of like Chicago, but especially in like the Southwest and stuff, it's like a really big thing. Yeah, and then like we have partners for H2 now, we also have partners for this that span across those 3 states, from academic institutions to government institutions to nonprofits, to financial investors and things like that. And then with the connected testbed network, which H2 now would fit into, we work with other like water utilities such as the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District to help them source and stand up different pilots like the ones that we run, as well as in other academic institutions such as Argonne and the EPA. There's an EPA as a facility in Ohio and things like that. So ultimately, our goal of the Connected Testbed Network is to create a way for us to receive input, receive inquiries from startups, water techs, and be able to figure out what they need and figure out where they would fit best. So MHub is like a really big partner in that as well as the testbed in Cincinnati. If you are interested in learning more about Current and what we do, we did publish a impact report on our 2024 progress. You can find it at that QR code. It's also available on our website, which is currentwater.org. And then, yeah, if you're interested in staying connected, seeing what we're up to, seeing all the cool things that are happening in the water tech space, we are on socials, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, things like that. And then we also have an email list. We send out monthly newsletters if you are interested in that as well. Yeah, that is everything.
We have about 5 minutes minutes for questions, if anybody has questions.
I'm curious about the water, you said the water quality, going back to the river.
Yeah.
And kind of the water quality and how it's been good. I feel like over the years we hear this, like, the goal is to get it to be swimmable.
Yeah.
How realistic is that? Like, is it like, have you seen like the kind of the shift happening that's
Yeah.
indicate that in this lifetime?
Totally. I think it heavily depends on where in the river, as well as like what are the other hazards present. So water quality is one thing, but there's also, you gotta think about boat traffic, currents. Can you get in and out of the water? Are there ladders there? And so that's a very like complex question with a very like complex solution to it. So I would love to see it be swimmable in our lifetime. I live really close to the lake, and so I'd love to see that. We recently did an event with the Chicago River Swim. They're trying to bring that back. They have their tentative route planned just in the main stem right now. But I don't think they have their permit yet.
We met them today.
Yes.
And they said the last thing between them and the permit is agreeing to an insurance match with the city.
Okay, so that's very
Sounds
promising.
actually like pretty promising.
Yeah, that's very promising.
But health-wise, is the water, like, I know there's all these other logistics
Yeah.
stuff, but like, health-wise, is the water swimmable?
So the Chicago area waterways is actually designated as being designed for primary contact, i.e. swimming. It's really just, I say designed. It's from a legal and regulatory perspective, that's what it's designated at. But from that to like the logistic, actually being able to do it is completely different. Like it's not designed for you to be able to dive in and like safely be able to come out, especially since there's like the lifeguards present and stuff.
I mean, I get that.
Yeah. Yeah.
My question is just about like the actual cleanliness
Yeah,
of the river
yeah.
and like, like, is it realistic?
Yeah, I'd say within our lifetime, I'm hopeful, but we'll see where it goes.
This year, because they said.
Yeah, I think,
September 21st is the tentative date.
yeah, I think that would be a huge, like, this is proof that we can do it.
Right downtown by Lindella, by the remotes, it'd be right there.
This is a silly
Yeah,
question,
so-
but I'm guessing.
Oh, that's a question.
I'm guessing the, what's it called? The filters, wherever you have to take them out during, the winter, so they
Yes.
get that, yeah, right.
Yeah, so this year we put the sensors in at the end of April, and we're able to put the data up on our website right before Memorial Day. We typically take them out like November, December.
Oh, pretty good.
So they are in there quite a long time.
Yeah.
We take them out for mostly because of like the weather. They're also powered by solar panels, and so in the winter there's like no sun. So they just like don't get enough juice. And then also just to perform routine maintenance. But the goal is to have them in, the longer the better. There's just like logistical reasons why we can't have them
And no
in.
one's kayaking in January.
Yeah, no, yeah, right. Although the road teams start around here in like
Yeah.
March. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, they go like.
Oh, yes, the hot tub boats.
There you go.
One more.
There was a mention about the tap water. So if there is anything very specific about the residential quality of water, or I don't know how to say, is there something specific that the organization is doing, or?
Yeah. So we don't currently have like a monitoring program or anything like that for drinking water that you like get at your house. I know we have in the past done things related to like lead in the pipes. I don't recall exactly in what capacity. I'm not sure if that program is still active, but we have done it in the past. I can always look into that for you and like share any information I have. Yeah.
You said the monitor you have is by us, right? Like right off the minister?
Yeah, it's right across from the Eleanor Boathouse. So right before Bubbly Creek and like the Sanitary Shipping Canal and the South Branch meet. It's like right before that on the South Branch side. Yeah. It's pretty close.
To the question about lead pipes, also, if you are concerned about the pipes in your own house and you want to see if you're eligible for any city programs, they can, first off, in certain circumstances, the city will replace your lead service line. Most houses in McKinley Park do still have a lead service line. There's an income limit to get it for free, but there is also a discount program for people who earn more than that. So if that's something you're interested in, you can Google like Chicago water line replacement and it'll pop right up. And they are pushing that program. And then also, the city will come to your house and test your water for lead if you ask them to. You call 311 and ask for it. So that's a free service they've had for a very long time. So a couple, before we call it a night, I just want to point out to a couple of community events that are coming up. So later this month, I'm hoping for next week, but I don't want to promise. We're going to have designs for community voting for which design will be the new mural in front of the Clay Garden. And then in the middle of August, hopefully before school starts, we're going to go paint that mural, and we will invite everybody in the neighborhood to come and be part of the painting. It'll be drop-in, so it's not like you have to be there all afternoon. You don't have to have a specific skill set. Itty bitties, we probably let them run around the garden while people with a little more skill paint, but you don't have to have any particular experience to be part of it. Also, the rest of July is going to be pretty quiet, but there's a lot of events coming up in August, including the next Play Garden Community Potluck, which is a Wednesday night. And bring a dish and bring yourself, and that's all you need. And enjoy the company of our amazing neighbors. The first day of school, August 18th. And then our next meeting will be that Wednesday. We're gonna be here again, and we're gonna have a speaker from the Chicago Bungalow Association, which will talk about some of the preservation work that they're doing for older homes. You no longer have to own a bungalow to get help from the Bungalow Association. So like if you live in a worker's cottage, which is most of what we have, you still qualify. So they've changed that. And they've got a lot of resources for things like energy efficiency, for like getting better insulation or making certain repairs. And so that's going to be our guest speaker in August. And then finally, on Saturday, August 23rd, we're going to have a community bike ride on the riverfront. We're going to have 2 skill levels. So for very experienced riders, we're going to go on major streets. If you are a less experienced rider or you have little people in tow, we're also going to have a family and beginner ride that will start at Park 571 and go to the Riverwalk on Halsted. So that's all really quiet streets, very few cars, and we're going to have bike marshals. We're getting a lot of help from Bike Grid Chicago to make sure that that's a safe event for everyone to enjoy. So stay tuned for more details on that. And then, thanks for coming. Please eat the snacks. Take a bowl of snacks home. It's cool. The snacks are for you. And check out all the materials from Current on the way back. I also want to acknowledge that the library took the time to set out a selection of books about water for all ages. So if you're looking for a beach read, hint, hint, please take a book home and thank the librarians. Hi, give me 1 sec to turn this off.